All right, I think we are ready to start. Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. Today, we will talk about HumaneOS and ways of advancing human potential with computers. And we'll talk today mostly about design. And the most design talks these days are about designing products. And I decided for this talk to talk about designing something else, because there is a foundational part of the computer that had been working mostly the same way for the past 50 years. And it had desktop paradigm, desktop metaphor, using desktop metaphor throughout the most popular operating systems. You guess it, it's the operating system. Today, we will talk about how to design an operating system that conforms to humans, which is the main idea of this talk. For the sake of the clarity and the context of this talk, the term computer applies to machines that could be programmed. It's a computer, it's a laptop, desktop, elevator, smartphone, smartwatch, TV, ATM, car, remote controller, etc. Everything that could be programmed is a computer, which means that it can have some kind of operating system inside it. This talk will be recorded, and the video with all resources will be sent afterwards. You are very welcomed to participate. And let's start. Yeah, thank you for being there. So the structure of this talk today is, first I will introduce the big idea and the motivation behind it, a little bit about myself, the background and everything. Then I will try to convey the basic design principles around designing HumaneOS. Afterwards, I will post some examples that I encountered in the wild during my career. And you are strongly invited to discuss and send questions, or also during this talk or afterwards. So that's the point, just to express some ideas and then afterwards to discuss that. All right, so hi from Belgrade. I'm Milovan Jovicic. I'm a computer veteran and a violin player. I've been using computers for more than 30 years so far. And also I'm design consultant. I've been designing and shipping digital products for more than 20 years so far. And it's, it started very early in my life. I fell in love with two technology products. One is personal computer, and another is a violin. So those are totally different stuff. So personal computer you can program, but violin is just a physical product. Although it's the same technology, but it's a physical product that could not be programmed. The computers became center of my universe. I became a programmer, and I was excited that computer could find something for us, that we can control it, to calculate something for us, and to expose some knowledge to us that's previously unknown. After doing programming for more than a decade, I moved to designing computer software. And also during the whole my career and whole my time spent with computers, I spent a lot of time doing computer setup for non-technical people. That's very, very important for this talk. But when you are doing a computer setup or fixing computer issues with for older people or your parents or whoever it's not so experienced with the computers, you notice a lot of questions that are natural to those guys that are not familiar with the technology. But from the technology standpoint, they make no sense. And I was, noticing that and writing those down, and that was the essence of ideas that led to this talk. I was doing those computer setup from the start of journey with computer, and the violin also is totally different, but it makes sense to mention here because it's also, it set expectations from the beginning. which computer does not do. And it's important next in the talk when I will express ideas. So if we go from 30 years ago, fast forward to today, we will have something else. Today, humans are focusing on technology. They are not focusing on thinking. Technology is supposed to help us think, not vice versa. So computer is today designed with some needs, values, behaviors, and accessibilities that are assumed and that are probably assumed to be universal among all humans. And that's the issue, because not the all humans are the same. So those assumptions are embedded in the computers, and we today have a universal operating systems that works mostly the same for everyone. And that's the core problem and the core idea of this talk. We know that humans are not universals. And especially today, people became servants of technology, not vice versa. So computer and technology are envisioned to be a servant to humans. But as you can see from this presentation, we are leaning towards computer. We are having something that's called phone zombies on this picture, where you just looking at your palm and walking through the world without having the sense what's around you. And I propose here some guiding principles to resolve that. So basic conclusion is that computer became a commander. This is a conclusion from my long time observation during my time of fixing computers and making life easier for people who are more or less experienced with the computers. But why is that? Are computers not designed to conform? So I envision the computer and operating system inside it as a flawless butler who stays on the side, who can sense what we need to do and what we are going to do, who can recognize our intent, what we are going to do, and then who can act upon it and then go back in the background. It's a perfect, flawless butler, which today it is not. So the core idea is in this sentence: when I open my computer, I should expect my operating system to appear, not someone else. So that's the most important thing. It's the main motivation for this talk. Computer should work according to my values, to my strengths, and to my weakness, my deficiencies, and my accessibility needs, etc., etc. I know that there are a lot of preferences and setups in the current operating system that allow that, but most of the people do not know how to turn them on. The computer should conform rather than rule to my behavior. So it should be universal and evergreen and everlasting. It should not change with time and with updates and what else. So here are some core principles, guiding principles that I call manifest for HumaneOS. So I'm putting a US Constitution here deliberately because, for some operating system to function properly, you need some core part of it. It's called kernel. For US, it's Constitution principles, and it's very small. It's around 50 or 60 pages, but everything there is the foundation for everything else. So to program and to design HumaneOS, we need to start from the core principles here. So the first principle here is heavily inspired by Isaac Asimov's first law of robotics. It says HumaneOS prioritize universal ethical values over anything else. If you remember, if someone knows about the Asimov's first law of robotics, it says that a robot should not harm the human. This is similar, but it's also related to ethical values that are universal among everyone, which means also do not hurt anyone, and whatever else is considered a universal ethical principle here. So first of all, computers should not harm people, and afterwards, any universal ethical value that's considered for the same for everyone should be respected. And for the second note here is that HumaneOS should respect human attention. So computers today are heavily used as expensive TV sets, but they are not designed to be used as that. They should be used as a tools. But today we are, looking on our screens and utilizing our apps and operating systems just as expensive TV sets. Wherever you see some metrics called engagement, or wherever you see something that lights up, new, this is new, take a look. Those are signals that computer is not supportive and has some exploitative behavior that's programmed in it, and this should be avoided at any cost. Computers should do the work so the people can have time to think, nothing else. Another one is that computers should utilize serendipity, and that's also adopted in the HumaneOS proposal. Here we are, book flea market, and if you go to flea market, whenever you go there, you're having some you're buying something, or you don't plan to buy anything, but you stumble upon something interesting and you are basically surprised but that with that product, and you probably do with something with that. So that means that serendipity should be engineered there in the computer. And I wrote it in one article before. Serendipity is very important to expand human creativity. It's very known across the history. And ingredients of serendipity, I will just leave them there and move on. It's instead of a random event, we should be prepared, we should be attentive, and we should reflect on that event afterwards. So all of that I reflected in my Medium writing on my Medium page. And we know that serendipity could be engineered. Next, HumaneOS should support all human attributes. Why I'm saying all? So we have a lot of attributes that are considered positive, but some of them are considered mostly negative. So if I can note Albert Einstein and his sentence: computers are incredibly fast, accurate, and stupid, and humans are incredibly slow, inaccurate, and brilliant. Together, they are powerful beyond imagination. I completely agree with that. We are creative, we are compliant, we are attentive to change, we are not rigid, we are inventive, we are biased. But bias should not be avoided. We evolved with the biases, and we can turn bias to an advantage. For instance, a lot of products tend today to be simple and don't make me think mantra is very popular here, but I'm totally against it. We should think. We are evolved to think. Thinking is beneficial, and it's beneficial for the most of the time. So our behaviors are never right or wrong. They're always meaningful. So we should be very careful with our attributes, and HumaneOS should listen to those attributes and should utilize them for the positive outcome. We are able to make flexible decisions based on the context, whereas machines are constrained and they make consistent decisions. And that's the advantage of people that machines should utilize. At the other hand, HumaneOS utilize positive aspects of the computers as well. So machines are precise, they're organized, they're indestructible, they're logical. Those aspects complement us, and we can utilize them. So together we form powerful union. This one is not so common. HumaneOS is modeless. By observing a lot of people using computers, I saw that a lot of issues with the computers and programs and operating systems come from embedding modes in computers. So, for instance, what is a mode? Very short introduction. If you tap caps lock, you know, but where caps lock here is, all of a sudden, all letters become big letters, and that's a mode. So it's the different behavior than initial behavior. And the more simple version of mode is the on-off switch. So when you switch your computer to the off position, you basically it does not respond to any of our commands, and that's a mode. And in the early days of Apple, there were investigation ways of just avoiding on-off switch as well. So basically, those are two examples of modes. And as a part of that, when I take my violin to play, it behaves the same way all the time. So all the time, when I take my violin to play, I expect the same behavior. So it's embedded into us. When if I can say it, we should try to minimize modes in machines, in computers, and HumaneOS supports that idea. The next one is more a little bit controversial. HumaneOS should be non-trivial and anti-intuitive. Most of the products are designed today to be simple, simple but powerful, but it's very hard to do. And the simplicity is in the head. It's not general simplicity for, let's say, airplane pilot and for some doctor. Surgeon those are two different things. And basically, the good metaphor here is bicycle. So if you ride a bicycle, if you know to ride the bicycle, you see that it's very easy, it's very intuitive, but at the beginning, it's not intuitive. It needs some steps. You need to perform some steps in order to learn to ride a bicycle. So it's also the same with the writing, with the swimming, with the cooking. It takes some time to learn. It should be practiced, and once it's mastered, it should augment human ability. So what I'm proposing here is that our HumaneOS should not be obvious to be able to learn, but it should guide you through the process which is called optimal frustration, which triggers you to learn and to be excited and to go in the flow with that system. So basically, the powerful metaphor here is that we are designing a bicycle for mind, not a tricycle. So a lot of operating systems and the apps are tricycles. You can only go so far with the tricycle, but with the bicycle you can go much faster and much longer with that. So humans should learn to use it. He should be led to the level of the optimal frustration, as I said, to the level of the optimal excitement. Remember when you had computers when you were young? I personally can remember that it was very easy to get excited by technology 30 years ago because of its obvious utility and non-intuitiveness, but with power to learn and to nudging you to learn. So next one, HumaneOS is a second-class citizen. It should blend in the background. The most profound technologies are those that disappear. So just to have some example, if notifications should be sent or shown only in a live or death event, nothing more, nothing less. So technology and HumaneOS with it should blend in the background. It should not demand anything. It should not announce itself if it's not needed. So that's a very important part, and it's also nailed to the core principle that we should respect human attention during designing of the HumaneOS. So this one is very easy to state, but it's very hard to design. HumaneOS transparently push humans forward to the values they choose. So let's analyze this sentence a bit. It transparently pushes, so it shows you how it pushes you forward, and to the values you choose. So for instance, if my goal today is to balance consume produce ratio, why not my computer just send me or somewhere here on the side saying me my consume produce ratio, or signal somehow that I'm approaching my balance consume produce ratio, and not vice versa. So another example, it's we humans are social creatures. If we should call our friends and family every day if we want to computer and HumaneOS or any other OS to remind us to do that every day. We can do that very easily, and it's not engagement. It's something that's valuable to us. There are also some programs that are programming the computer for circadian rhythm. During the day, the amount of red color is increased. It's embedded in OS. That's one example of very good pushing humans toward something that they chose that's important to them. So, and I think this one, this last principle here is maybe should deserve the place on the top, but I deliberately made the point to put it on the end. HumaneOS cooperate, not compete, because most of the time we forget about having computer as a tool and operating system as a tool. And in this picture, we see chess players, and it's very widely known that chess played with the computer. Some decent chess player, along with the computer, can beat any other human. So computers and people can have a very powerful and unique bond, and computers really can and should augment human intellect. But I need to state that these are not new ideas. Those ideas became very widely popular after the Second World War, when a bunch of scientists worked on different problems than the military problems. And one of them is Doug Engelbart, that envisioned today's mouse, and also many other patents and ideas about computing. But unfortunately, most of those ideas went unexploited and unknown. This is a picture of his computer setup that used both of his hands and the whole keyboard, which is modelless, of course. There is no caps lock there. And I just need to mention it. Whoever is interested in these ideas should read his seminal paper about augmented human intellect from Doug Engelbart. So here are some examples as pieces of a big puzzle. Elevators, they're very reliable, because even when they malfunction, they can still be used as the stairs. And in case of some rush hour, you can program them to go upwards or downwards depending on the situation. So they're very, very similar similar to HumaneOS principles. Back in the day, I was using software that reminded me that I should close my eyes, and if you can see, my eyes are not touched by my 30-year working on computers because of those kind of apps. Every 30 or 40 minutes, they remind me. They deliberately close my screen and nudge me to stand up and to have some pause, to think, and to maybe meditate, and just to take some rest. And they offer some guidance how to behave during that pause. Another one is a battery of software and websites that are used for gathering. Here is a picture of previous meetups from my UX group that here in Serbia. And there are some products that stay in background, that are utilized just to organize people together and they are used just for that. For instance, Meetup.com is one of them, and I strongly judge that Meetup.com is one of those products that have those core principles embedded in it. So those things, smart rings and smart bracelets, have also those guiding principles embedded into it. They nudge you toward positive behavior, positive to you, of course. They don't have display, that they do not demand attention. They can wake up you without disturbing anyone else next to it, because they can only vibrate and they can only relate to you, not to anyone else here. So another one is dynamic land. It's very famous and it's a research center in Auckland. It's founded by computer scientist Alan Kay and Brett Victor. Together, they made a vision for next 40 years of computer. Basically, the core idea is that the whole building is a computer that's embedded with sensors, and you program by putting computer code based on papers. You can see papers there on a table, and basically you can have a very, very powerful program there just with those papers. It's a computer that is not device. It's a normal seeming room. That's a powerful idea made by Brett Victor. I encourage you strongly to go to Dynamic Land and see how does it look. Also, this is my proposal, and this is basically how my phone home screen of my phone looks. I have a bunch of my contacts and my family contacts randomized on the top of the screen, and I have some areas that I just designed to nudge me toward my positive behavior. And there, I have just nailed it, not to spend non-quality time with my phone, but just whenever I open it, I have whatever I need just to call whoever I need, maybe someone who I forgot to call during this week or month. And then afterwards, I have noted there some ideas how it could be programmed just for the sake of values of its users. So this is just my proposal, and that's how I'm working. There are some other ideas that I employed, but that's for some other talk. So to finish this, ethics and humane values are the first-class citizens, and life, not the technology in it, stays front and the center. This should be prioritized over anything else. You should think about humane values, ergonomics, edge accessibility cases, unmet expectations, backup in case of power failure whenever you are building a next product or next HumaneOS. So we are very close to the end. If you have any questions, please send, and thank you for being there.